Life is a journey filled with relationships, some that build you up and others that only take from you. But here's a hard truth we all need to learn. Not everyone who shows up in your life is there for the right reasons. And perhaps more painfully, not everyone who comes to you in times of need is truly invested in you. There are people who only value you when it benefits them. Those who turn a blind eye when you're thriving, and suddenly they reappear when they need something. It's a pattern that leaves us feeling used, drained, and unappreciated. But here's the truth. You deserve better. Understand this. Your worth is not contingent upon your availability to others. You are not a backup plan, a safety net, or a resource for someone else's convenience. You are a unique individual with dreams, passions, and value that should never be sidelined. Let me tell you this, if they ignore you when you need support or when you're at your best, don't let them back in when they're only interested in what you can do for them. True relationships, true connections are built on mutual respect, trust, and understanding. People who genuinely care about you don't only show up when they need something, they're there through the highs and lows. So stay away from those who only see you as a tool for their own convenience. You are not someone's lifeline to be used and discarded. You are a force to be reckoned with, a source of strength, not to be taken for granted. And anyone who doesn't recognize that doesn't deserve a place in your life. Instead, invest your time and energy in those who lift you up, who celebrate your successes, and who stay by your side even when things aren't going perfectly. These are the people who understand the value of true connection and who recognize your worth, not just when they need something, but all the time. Remember this, you are worthy of respect, love, and support every day, not just when someone else needs you. Your value is constant, and so should the respect that you receive. Keep your circle strong, filled with those who show up for you in all seasons of life, not just when the weather is fair. Stay away from those who see you as an option and choose to be surrounded by people who treat you as a priority. You deserve that. And don't settle for less. Your self-worth is one of the most important aspects of who you are. It is the foundation upon which everything else in your life is built. When you know your value, you walk through life with a sense of confidence, resilience, and clarity. It is essential to understand that your worth is not dependent on your availability to others. Unfortunately, there are many people who will try to convince you otherwise. They may want you to believe that your only purpose is to serve their needs, but this could not be further from the truth. You are more than just a tool for someone else's convenience or a safety net for when they fall. Your life, your time, and your energy are valuable. Every moment you spend on this earth is an opportunity for growth, learning, and fulfillment. And while it's important to support those we love and care about, it is equally crucial to remember that you are not defined by your usefulness to others. If someone only values you when they need something from you, it's time to step back and reassess the nature of that relationship. Think about the times when you've given your all to someone. Perhaps you've been there for them when they are going through difficult times, offering emotional support or lending a helping hand. You might have made sacrifices or invested time and energy without expecting anything in return. That's what a healthy, balanced relationship looks like. It's mutual, and it goes both ways. But what happens when you're the one who needs support? What happens when you're the one going through a rough patch? And those very same people who you helped in the past are nowhere to be found. It's a painful experience to realize that the connection you thought was real is actually one-sided. This realization can be difficult to accept, but it's a vital lesson to learn. Your value is not conditional. It doesn't fluctuate based on how much you can do for someone else or how available you are in their times of need. You are inherently valuable as a person, not because of your actions or sacrifices for others. Your worth is constant, no matter who comes into your life or who exits it. When you grasp this concept, you begin to live with a sense of purpose that isn't tied to external validation or the opinions of others. If you constantly make yourself available to people who only acknowledge your presence when it's convenient for them, you begin to lose sight of your true worth. This can cause you to feel drained, disrespected, and ultimately unappreciated. You might begin to believe that you're only valuable when you're useful, which is an incredibly limiting mindset. But this kind of thinking will hold you back from living a life filled with genuine connection. The truth is, you are worthy of love, respect, and kindness in every circumstance, whether you're giving or receiving. The hardest part of this realization is that it forces you to confront the fact that not everyone in your life has your best interests at heart. There are people who will show up only when it benefits them. And they may not be aware, worse, they may not care that their actions are causing you harm. It's easy to become frustrated or even angry at these people. But the real power comes from choosing not to let them control your sense of self-worth. The more you allow yourself to be defined by others' treatment of you, the more you'll find yourself in a cycle of disappointment and frustration. Remember, the people who truly care about you don't just show up when they need something. They're there for you through the highs and lows, not only when it's convenient or when things are going well. True connections are built on a foundation of mutual respect, love, and support. In a healthy relationship, both individuals show up for one another. Not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. You don't have to chase after people who only value you when it serves them. Your presence in their lives should be a privilege, not a convenience. If they fail to recognize that, it's time to create some space between you and them. But what does it look like to truly value yourself? It starts with setting clear boundaries and recognizing that your time, energy, and love are not limitless resources. Just because you have the capacity to help someone doesn't mean you should constantly sacrifice your own well-being for the sake of others. It means learning to say no when necessary and prioritizing your needs just as much as you would prioritize the needs of those you care about. It means understanding that it's okay to step away from relationships that aren't serving you, even if they once did. And it means trusting that when you make room for people who genuinely care, you'll be surrounded by individuals who see you for who you are, not just for what you can do for them. As you continue to grow and evolve, it's essential to remember that your worth does not decrease because of the actions of others. There will always be people who come and go, some who bring joy and some who bring pain. But in the end, it's not about how many people acknowledge your worth, it's about how you acknowledge it yourself. The more you stand firm in knowing that you are valuable, regardless of your circumstances, the less likely you'll be to tolerate people who only reach out when they need something. The key is to shift your mindset. Instead of focusing on how others treat you, focus on how you treat yourself. Do you give yourself the love, respect, and care that you give to others? Do you recognize your own worth in every situation, whether you're succeeding or struggling? When you begin to treat yourself with the same level of dignity and regard that you would give to someone you love, You naturally set the standard for how others should treat you. And remember, you are not here to be a convenience for anyone. You are here to live a life that is true to your purpose, surrounded by people who genuinely value and support you, not just when it's easy, but all the time. When you make the decision to protect your energy, honor your boundaries, and prioritize your self-worth, you'll begin to attract the right people into your life. The ones who show up for you, not just when they need something, but always. Your worth is constant, unwavering, and powerful. Stand firm in that truth and never let anyone make you believe otherwise. True relationships are built on a foundation of mutual respect, trust, and understanding. These three pillars are essential for forming lasting, meaningful connections with others, whether in friendships, romantic partnerships, or even professional relationships. Respect is the starting point for any healthy relationship. It's the recognition of another person's inherent value as a human being, acknowledging that they deserve the same consideration and dignity that you would expect for yourself. Trust is equally crucial because without trust, no relationship can truly thrive. Without trust, you are left with doubt, suspicion, and uncertainty, making it difficult to build a connection that is deep or genuine, and understanding ties everything together. Being able to empathize with others, recognizing their experiences, and showing compassion even when things aren't easy. When these elements are present, relationships have the potential to grow and evolve in meaningful ways. They create a safe space where both people can be vulnerable and open, knowing that they will be met with care and respect. Unfortunately, not all relationships are built on these values, and when they aren't, the connection can feel shallow, transactional, and ultimately unfulfilling. One of the most common signs of a relationship lacking in mutual respect, trust, and understanding is when one person only reaches out when they need something and ignores the other person when they don't. This behavior is not just inconsiderate, it can also be emotionally draining and disheartening for the person on the receiving end. It sends the message that the relationship is one-sided, that the other person is only valued when they are useful or convenient. This undermines the very foundation of what a genuine relationship is supposed to be. A partnership based on mutual care and support. The truth is, relationships are about give and take. They are not meant to be about one person constantly providing while the other person takes without reciprocation. For a relationship to be fulfilling, both people need to invest in one another. This means showing up for each other in both the good times and the bad. It means being there when your friend is celebrating an achievement, but also when they're going through a difficult time. It's about offering a listening ear when someone needs to talk or providing support when they're facing challenges. In a balanced relationship, both parties are present in each other's lives in a meaningful way, not just when it suits them. This is what builds the trust and respect that form the foundation of any lasting connection. When someone only contacts you when they need something, it can leave you feeling taken for granted. You might start to wonder if they even care about you as a person or if they only see you as a means to an end. Over time, this type of behavior can erode the trust in the relationship. You may start to question their motives or feel that they are only reaching out when it's convenient for them, which can create a sense of imbalance and resentment. This imbalance can ultimately damage the relationship and leave you feeling disrespected and unappreciated. Mutual respect means that both people are able to give and receive in equal measure. It doesn't mean that everything has to be perfectly balanced all the time. There may be periods where one person needs more support than the other, and that's okay. The key is that there's an understanding that support will flow in both directions over time. Trust, too, is built on this reciprocal nature. You trust that the person you are in a relationship with will be there for you when you need them, just as you would be there for them. Without this trust, it's difficult to feel secure in the relationship and to fully open up to the other person. Understanding is another critical component of any genuine connection. It's about being able to see things from the other person's perspective, even if you don't always agree with them. It's about recognizing that everyone has their own struggles and challenges, and being patient and compassionate when someone is going through a tough time. This kind of understanding doesn't require you to solve their problems for them, but rather to offer emotional support and empathy. It's about being present and available in a way that shows you care about their well-being, not just about what they can do for you. Unfortunately, in relationships where one person is only interested in what they can get, understanding becomes difficult. When you're only reaching out to someone when you need something, you're not showing interest in their needs or their feelings. You're not taking the time to understand what's going on in their life or to offer support when they're struggling. Instead, you're focused solely on your own needs, which undermines the foundation of respect and trust that is necessary for a strong, healthy connection. This dynamic can be incredibly hurtful, especially if the person on the receiving end is constantly giving without receiving anything in return. It can lead to feelings of resentment, loneliness, and frustration as the person feels that their efforts are not being valued or reciprocated. Over time, this can create a disconnect between the two people, and the relationship may begin to feel more like a burden than a meaningful connection. In order to build relationships that are based on mutual respect, trust, and understanding, both people must be willing to invest in each other's well-being. This requires emotional maturity, empathy, and a willingness to put the other person's needs on the same level as your own. It means showing up for them when it matters, not just when it's convenient or when you need something. It means being vulnerable and allowing the relationship to be a two-way street where both parties can lean on each other and offer support without keeping score or expecting something in return. If you find yourself in a relationship where the other person only reaches out when they need something from you, it's important to recognize that this is not an equal partnership. You deserve to be in relationships where your worth is valued consistently, not just when it benefits the other person. It's okay to set boundaries and to walk away from relationships that are one-sided. You have the right to expect respect, trust, and understanding in all your relationships. You deserve to be surrounded by people who are there for you, not just in moments of need, but at all times. People who offer their support, care, and attention freely without expecting anything in return. True relationships are about mutual respect and understanding. They are built on a foundation of trust, where both people are committed to supporting each other through thick and thin. If someone only reaches out when they need something, it's a sign that the relationship is not built on these fundamental principles. It's a relationship based on convenience, not care. You deserve better than that. So don't settle for relationships that lack respect, trust, and understanding. Build connections that are rooted in mutual care. And surround yourself with people who genuinely value you, not just when they need something, but all the time. Recognizing patterns in relationships is a crucial skill that allows you to protect your emotional well-being and avoid unhealthy dynamics. People are complex, and their actions can sometimes be difficult to understand. But recognizing patterns of behavior is essential for navigating both personal and professional relationships. One of the most damaging patterns that can develop in a relationship is when someone only reaches out to you when they need something, ignoring you when they have no immediate use for you. This behavior is a clear indication that the relationship may be one-sided and is rooted in convenience rather than mutual respect, care, and understanding. At first, it might be difficult to see these patterns. People are good at masking their intentions. And sometimes the requests they make are framed in a way that seems innocent or necessary. However, over time, you start to notice a recurring trend. The person reaches out only when they are in need, but when you need support, they are nowhere to be found. They might seem distant or unavailable, making excuses when you try to connect with them or seek help. This inconsistency in their behavior is the first clue that something is off. In a balanced relationship, both parties are present for each other, not just when it's convenient, but consistently through both highs and lows. When this pattern of inconsistency begins to take shape, it's a red flag that should not be ignored. One of the first steps to recognizing this pattern is to reflect on past interactions with that person. Ask yourself, when was the last time this person reached out to you just to check in, with no ulterior motive? When was the last time they supported you, not because they had to, but because they genuinely cared? It's easy to get caught up in the cycle of giving without receiving, especially if you're someone who values helping others. But when you step back and really analyze these patterns, it becomes clearer that some people may only reach out when they have a need. This isn't true friendship or love. It's opportunistic behavior that takes advantage of your kindness and generosity. The key to recognizing these patterns is becoming aware of how frequently the relationship feels one-sided. Over time, the damage from this kind of behavior can accumulate. You may begin to feel drained, exhausted, and even resentful. At first, it might seem harmless. You help out when you can, and maybe they seem appreciative, but the next time they need something, the cycle repeats itself. This ongoing pattern can wear you down emotionally because it reinforces the feeling that you are only valued when you can offer something. You may even begin to question your own self-worth, thinking that perhaps the only reason people care about you is because of what you can provide, rather than who you truly are. This is an unhealthy mindset to adopt, and it can take a toll on your emotional and mental health. Recognizing these patterns also requires you to tune into your feelings. How do you feel when you interact with this person? Do you feel valued and appreciated? Or do you feel like you're simply there to meet their needs? Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it usually is. The constant feeling of being used is a sign that the relationship lacks the balance and mutual respect that are fundamental to any healthy connection. If you find yourself only being contacted during their moments of need, this is a clear indicator that the relationship is imbalanced, and it's time to reassess whether it's truly worth your time and energy. Once you've identified this pattern, it's important to take action. The first step is setting boundaries. This can be difficult, especially if you're someone who has always been available to others. You might feel guilty for setting limits, thinking that you should always be there for people. But boundaries are necessary for maintaining healthy relationships. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care enough to protect your own emotional well-being. By setting clear boundaries, you send the message that you deserve respect, that your time and energy are valuable, and that you won't tolerate being used. Boundaries in these situations might include being less available when the person only reaches out during moments of need, or declining to offer help if you feel that the person hasn't shown you the same level of care or support. It's important to communicate these boundaries clearly and assertively without feeling the need to justify your actions. Remember, you are not obligated to give endlessly to someone who only takes from you. True relationships are reciprocal. They involve both giving and receiving. You deserve to be in a relationship where your contributions are appreciated and valued, not just when someone needs something from you. In some cases, it may become necessary to distance yourself from people who continually exhibit this pattern of behavior. While this can be a difficult decision, especially if the person is someone you care about deeply, it's important to prioritize your own well-being. If someone consistently ignores you when they don't need anything and only reaches out when they do, it's a sign that they may not truly value you as a person. In such cases, it's okay to let go and move on. Holding on to one-sided relationships can prevent you from fostering more meaningful, balanced connections with others. One of the most liberating realizations when recognizing these patterns is understanding that it's not your responsibility to fix other people or to make them change. Everyone has their own life and challenges, and while you can offer support and care, you cannot force someone to value you or to treat you with the respect you deserve. It's important to remember that your worth is not dependent on how much someone else is willing to give or offer. You are valuable simply because you exist, and you should never settle for relationships where your worth is determined only by what you can do for someone else. And in the process of recognizing and distancing yourself from these one-sided relationships, it's also essential to focus on cultivating relationships that are truly mutual. True friends, family, and loved ones are those who reach out to you not just when they need something, but because they genuinely care about you and want to be a part of your life. They make an effort to check in on you, offer support when needed, and celebrate your successes as much as they share in your struggles. These are the kinds of relationships that bring fulfillment and joy. When you recognize the patterns of behavior that are toxic or unbalanced, you free yourself up to nurture those relationships that are worth your time, energy, and love. Ultimately, recognizing these patterns is about learning to trust yourself and your instincts. If a relationship consistently leaves you feeling undervalued or used, it's important to honor those feelings and take action. Protect your emotional well-being by setting boundaries, distancing yourself from toxic people, and investing your energy in relationships that are built on mutual respect, care, and trust. This will allow you to create the kind of life and relationships you deserve. One where you are valued, not just for what you can do for others, but for who you are. Setting boundaries is one of the most important steps you can take to protect your emotional, mental, and physical well-being. Boundaries are not about shutting others out or being selfish. They are a form of self-care that ensures you can maintain healthy, balanced relationships while also prioritizing your own needs. In a world where people often expect others to be constantly available, always giving, and endlessly accommodating, establishing boundaries becomes not just important, but essential for preserving your sense of self and your peace of mind. Without boundaries, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, drained, and unappreciated, especially in relationships where others take advantage of your kindness or where you find yourself giving more than you are receiving. Boundaries help you define what is acceptable and what is not in your relationships with others. They allow you to communicate your needs clearly and assertively without feeling guilty or fearful of conflict. When someone repeatedly crosses your boundaries or expects you to be available only when it serves their needs, it's vital to assert those limits. Boundaries let others know